The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is July 15th, 2020. This is episode 219, and this week, Deepfake Rising. And you know me, I'm not your echo chamber, but I'm your best buddy Basil.
And this is Gonz. We are buffering like crazy. So apologize for that for the live stream, folks, but if you're listening to this later, you're getting a crispy CRISPR Cas9 level of quality.
I couldn't tell if you were just stuttering or if the connection really went bad.
Went really bad, started looping.
Yeah, apologize everybody. The connections are a little tough today. I'm thankful I can say I can blame that on Gonz today. But like you said, if anybody has too much trouble with the live stream, remember to subscribe to the podcast version. Significantly higher sound quality, and it's old school. Podcasts are almost like becoming like records or something, vinyl records. I'm always surprised by how few people actually use the podcast function of this show. But remember, you need to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or any podcatcher that you use, Stitcher, Spotify, yada, yada, yada. Always a good backup. And if the live stream isn't working, we'll still be posting episodes there. But here we go, Gonz. Wednesday, Whack-Chin Wednesday. What's going on?
Yeah, Whack-Chin Wednesday. There's. I'll let you go first because you stepped on something today that sounded really painful.
Oh, yeah. No, it's been an exciting day. We were rushing to try to get started a little earlier today. I think we technically still have broken our record by only starting like 45 minutes late. So still under an hour, so I'm happy about that. But part of the reason we started a little late was because at the last moment, I got up to get my supplies, some water, and stepped right on a tack. It was a full penetration tack step. So I have a very painful foot right now. But it's all band-aided up. The bleeding has stopped, and I think we're going to make it.
Very cool. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
What
about you? What's going on?
There's not much going on over here. I'm just looking at the bit rate, the upload speed, and it's very slow. So it must be really awful trying to watch this live right now. It's literally like 400 kilobytes a second, which is not going to make it. That's not going to worwork. It's under 1,000 kilobytes a second, which is just awful connection. I'm wondering if my IP address is tagged or something, because it's been like this all day.
Might have to try out some sort of VPN or something.
Yeah, that's not
just to
work.
Complicate things more.
Yeah, to make it more complicated. Right before we went live, I checked out my Twitter feed and I noticed that Elon Musk is feeling generous today. He said, "I'm feeling generous because of COVID-19. I'll double any BTC, that's Bitcoin payment, sent to my Bitcoin address for the next hour. Good luck and stay safe out there." And he leaves his this Bitcoin address. Clearly a scam. A hacker got into his account or something, because that is the Bitcoin scam. Anytime you see anybody saying, "Hey, send me Bitcoin and I'll send you back double," that's like the quintessential scam alert. And in fact, you can go. This is the semi-transparency aspect of Bitcoin. You can actually go on the Block Explorer, look up that Bitcoin address, and you can see how much Bitcoin is in that wallet. And right now, when I first looked at it, there was about 1.6 Bitcoin, and now there's 2.57. I'm going to refresh here. Oops, not that. That's not what I wanted. Here we go. I'm going to refresh and see how much more Bitcoin. Whoa, there's 6 Bitcoin in this address now. So clearly people are sending Bitcoin to this address.
Come on, people. That's not how it works. Folks. That's not how any of this works.
No. You need to not do that. But people are desperate for money, I guess, and they're sending Bitcoin to this address. The thing is, if they nail down, who was behind this hack, I'm guessing it was a hack, or Elon's really feeling generous. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, who knows? Elon, that's the perfect target for this scam. If you can, people would actually believe that Elon would do something crazy like that. So perfect target for the scam, unfortunately. Don't send any Bitcoin to Elon. No. Although, I don't know. Who knows? If you did send Bitcoin to Elon, let us know if you got double back.
Well, the thing is, he said for the next hour, so we can actually track, and he posted this about a half hour ago. So right now, there's no Bitcoin sent out of the address. Mm-hmm. So we'll know within the time frame of the show, we can refresh and see if he actually sent Bitcoin back, which at least from this address, it's possible he can send it from another address, but we'll take a look to see if there's any outbound Bitcoin from this address, which doesn't make any sense. How are you going to send double the amount that you got sent in from an address? But anyway,
that's a really good question, actually.
Something to keep in mind.
If the address doesn't have any Bitcoin in it, how are you going to double whatever gets sent to you? All right. Anyways, so there's your there's the latest scam, the latest Elon scam. Let's open up with a flippy update, Gons. Oh wait, by the way. Oh, good catch. It's we've been talking about how people are complaining that the show's too long, and that's just kind of bugged me, so I haven't responded to anybody doing that. But of course, when the show started, we were doing 29-minute shows. Then of course it grew to over 3 hours. Today we do have a very hard out at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is going to be about a 2-hour show, right? Yeah,
hopefully. I mean, I can probably budge 15 minutes or so, but a little bit of a harder out today.
I have set an alarm on my phone for 4 o'clock. So there will be a loud, obnoxious alarm going off telling us to stop the show. So there you go. Just for everybody who's been complaining, this is going to be a reasonably long show for you. All right, let's hit that flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okie dokie, we're over here on an interesting website called campaignasia.com, and the article is titled "Robots Serve Non-Alcoholic Beer in a, quote, bar for one," because this timeline doesn't already suck enough, apparently. The Heineken 0.0 Contact Bar is now open in Darlinghurst in Sydney. Staffed by a conveyor belt and some robotic arms, the bar only serves the company's 0.0 brand of non-alcoholic brew, and it's only open to one person at a time due to the distancing restrictions. It sounds like just about the most depressing, quote, brand new drinking experience AdNut can imagine. And the fact that the robots are called Heidi and Ken is no help. AdNut will stick to drinking more potent stuff at home, either alone or on sloppy Zoom calls. Thank you very much. The brand claims the bar is a response to COVID-19 restrictions, but AdNut suspects it's an activation that was planned earlier, but then had to be repurposed and respun for today's reality. Why would you need 2 robotic arms to serve one person at a time? If the original pre-COVID plan was for the 2 robots to hand out samples in a crowded area, AdNut could see it being fun, but this, like so much of the current situation, just sucks. We already know we're living in a dystopia. We don't need a demoralizing pop-up experience to accentuate it. The robot arms are programmed by students and engineers from University of Sydney who appear to have done a fine job. Momentum Worldwide and Red Havas are the agencies involved. So there you go, Gons. It's this is the world we live in.
All right, that was super loud.
The world we live in, where 2 robot arms can serve one person a 0.0 non-alcoholic beer. There we go. Very fun.
Have you ever tried non-alcoholic beer?
I want to get a. No.
Our connection must be really off because it takes you a really long time.
Do we
to
have a
answer
slow
me.
connection? Or
We
you
do.
just... Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it takes you a while to...
Connections, man.
I know, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, so you've never tried non-alcoholic beer, you said?
Never have.
It's gross. Don't try it.
That does not surprise me. You know what? More than going to this thing, what I would like them to do is to live stream the bar so we can see what sad person is sitting in a bar for one being served non-alcoholic beer by a pair of robot arms. That is literally one of the saddest, most depressing things that I could watch. And there's a lot of depressing things to watch nowadays. But there you go. So watch out, folks. Remember, Flippy is the disembodied robot arm that's taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. And now these two robot arms can just give you a really weird afternoon. A bunch of carbs for no reason. And I do want to hit this other Flippy update real quick. I'm not going to read it, Gonzo, but we can hit that jingle one more time.
Let's do it.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Yeah, there we go. Yes, this Flippy update, the original Flippy from Miso Robotics, the burger flipping robot, has got a new gig, and Flippy will be joining the team at White Castle Burgers. So previously, what is it called? Cali Burger or something like that was the only restaurant using Flippy to flip burgers. That was at least advertised. But now White Castle is on the list, folks. We'll see if those little soggy burgers are just as delicious when a robot's making them.
A couple points. One, I've never had a White Castle burger. So I don't know if that's a crime or something.
I've had them once.
Yeah, I'm a West Coast boy. I haven't really done too much of the White Castle thing. And number two, I didn't realize Flippy was a racist.
Uh-oh. What?
The White Castle? Come on, man. Why not the Yellow Castle or the Black Castle?
Yeah,
why just the White Castle?
Multiculti Castle. What's up, White Castle? What's going on?
Yeah, so there you go. That's just
Basil and Gons go to White Castle. That would be a fun one.
Oh, great. Yeah. And drink non-alcoholic beer. Let's see. We have a bunch of quick updates. Man, our connection is just so bad. Hang on one second here. Let me toggle with the Wi-Fi cable, or not the Wi-Fi, but the Ethernet cable. I don't know if it's. I wonder. I'm afraid to switch off my Wi-Fi and strictly go with the Ethernet connection because
I'm afraid of what's about to happen too. But we have to try something because we cannot get really through 2 hours of this.
I know. Hold on one second. Let me.
I'll put on some elevator music while you do that. Please stand by.
Let's see, where are we connected to?
How you doing? I'm gonna have a trivia night here. Who first in the chat can name this song?
Wow, this is horrible. Horrible.
I know.
Okay, should I turn off my Wi-Fi? That's really risky because we can completely drop the entire live stream here.
Yeah, I don't know. Should we just try a whole thing again? Try to do something for your connection and then try to start the stream again? What do you think?
I don't know. Hang on. Let me open some preferences here. This is just ruining the show.
And that's another reason to follow the podcast version of the show, people, because situations like this, when they get this bad, will be edited out, and you don't have to sit through it. You can.
No, I'm not going to edit it out, but
experience the magic of podcast editing.
Yeah. It should be connected. It should be connected, but it's not.
You sound a little bit better.
Okay. let's see if this gets any better. But we'll just we'll continue on here and see if we can kind of move along. And okay. Well, all right. Still at 300 kilobytes a second bit rate.
Oh my gosh, speed, it's like 1999, baby, playing StarCraft on the landline.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
Okay, you're listening to Canary Cry News Talk, Take 2 on this Whack-Gin Wednesday. This is July 15th, 2020, episode 219, and this week, Deepfake Rising, and for the second time, I'm doubly not your echo chamber, but I'm your best buddy Basil.
And this is Gonz. I'm mad. I'm very upset at technology right now.
Yes, for those who were not trying to tune into the live stream on the podcast feed here, we had some major technical difficulties. This is a take 2 version of today's show, so we will speed through the intro here again. What are some of the points that those who did not see the first take need to know? I stepped on a tack and bled everywhere.
Stepped on a tack. I'll have it edited so people on the RSS feed could at least hear part of it. We did record it.
That's very nice of you. And
we did that.
We did the first Flippy update, which basically is a very sad one-person bar staffed by 2 Flippy arms in Sydney, Australia.
Serving non-alcoholic beer.
Yes, serving non-alcoholic beer. Yes, if you missed the first time, it was hilarious.
Yes.
But there you go. Second Flippy update was White Castle. White Castle now employing Flippy the robot to cook those soggy little morsels of deliciousness. And what else? We talked about Elon Musk's Twitter account getting hacked and people so far sending 6 Bitcoin to an unknown address because of that.
It doubled. There's 11.1 Bitcoin in the account now.
Okay, great.
It looks like
so that's over $100,000 somebody is getting so far.
Well, there's been 1 Bitcoin sent out. So it looks like, let me try to figure out where, a lot of these are unconfirmed transactions, though. It'll take me a little longer to figure it out. But it looks like Bitcoin is going back out, but it could be going to another scammer address.
Yes, and we could figure out exactly because with Bitcoin addresses, you can see who sent the money. So technically, we could go in and do the forensics and see if that Bitcoin outgoing is going to one of the accounts that sent in Bitcoin, but we're not going to do that live on the show. We're pretty sure that's a scam, but there you go.
Yep. And a couple Flippy updates. I talked about how Flippy was racist for signing up with White Castle and not Black Castle.
Yes, right.
And we got a bunch of updates. Let's start there because this is brief but not brief.
Okay.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
Update me, baby.
First things first. According to FR24news.com, Kanye West to step down from 2020 presidential race.
Oh, what?
So, yeah, he's done.
He didn't make it very far.
No. It had to be his late check-in. Rap superstar Kanye West has already pulled out of his late presidential bid, according to a report. The billionaire rap icon who announced his entry into the presidential arena in a July 4th tweet told electoral strategist Steve Kramer that he was out of the race, New York Magazine reported Tuesday.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, so I think somewhere else, I won't go through the article here, but it said that he had about 2% of the polls. So, he was, and they, like you theorized, he was actually taking votes away from Trump and not Biden.
Yeah,
so he maybe that's why he pulled out.
Yeah, he must have been convinced to not get in the way of his good buddy Trump there.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, that is very interesting. I don't think I ever truly thought he was going to make it to the race or that he would be a real issue, but I thought he'd make it more than a week.
Maybe his Mark of the Beast comments, the powers that be were like, you shall not give away the secrets, and then step down now. Yeah. You're fired.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go.
So in the meantime, he's back to, being Kanye, and he tweeted out this, love this chair. He's got a picture of these, I don't know what style this is, like Art Deco or something. Just a silver, it looks like a little, like upside down UFO chair.
Okay. Big fan of a chair. Great.
Big fan of a chair, Elon, or not Elon,
like
Kanye.
Possibly the most uncomfortable chair I've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but now that he's not running for president, he can tweet his favorite chairs.
It's quite the hard-hitting news we bring here on Canary Crime News Talk. Kanye tweeted about a chair.
It's an update.
Yes.
Yes, and then we have another update here on the Ghislaine update.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah, very interesting. Of course, just a little update here. Ghislaine Maxwell, longtime associate of Jeffrey Epstein and alleged to be involved with the trafficking that Epstein was, basically in charge of for a long time, was arrested, put in jail. They tried to get her out of jail by posting a $5 million bond. And what happened?
BBC.com, Ghislaine Maxwell denied bail in Epstein's sex trafficking case.
I gotta say, I am surprised.
Yeah, and what's interesting is we have these like sketches, from the courtroom. Mm-hmm. And that's always interesting in this time of COVID, too.
Yes, I noticed the sketch did not really look like her.
No, and no pictures or video officially, I don't think.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
At a hearing via video link, a New York judge said she would remain in custody while awaiting trial on charges of trafficking minors for Epstein. Miss Maxwell, who pleaded not guilty, will go on trial July 2021.
Isn't that crazy?
1 year from now.
Why
That's plenty of time
long?
for her to be extracted.
Totally. I mean, or at least quote unquote, catch COVID or something. But they wanted to get her out of that jail because they were so afraid she was going to catch COVID. I don't know why they can't just give her a mask in there or whatever. But there
give her a vaccine.
She's gonna
shoot her up in the vein.
I want to know where they're going to keep her because apparently that Boston, what was it? In Boston, the jail, or Baltimore or something. I don't know. One of those
Baltimore.
Eastern B cities apparently was in a pretty shady situation.
Oh, Brooklyn.
In a Brooklyn. Yes. Okay. In a jail famous for, jail guard beatings and all sorts of nasty stuff. So we'll see what happens to her.
Yep. And not much else to report on her in this particular situation, but we've been on it. So we've been keeping all of you guys abreast of what's going on. And, I got a bunch of new jingles in this episode, and a lot of them were stuff that I just threw together to hopefully inspire some producers out there. This one's a little long, but I think it gives a overview of what the whole 33 situation is about.
Okay.
33 is the number of completion of the Great Work. The first Temple of Solomon stood for 33 years. David ruled for 33 years in Jerusalem. The Masonic Order divided into 33 symbolic degrees. There are 33 segments in the human spinal column. Jesus was crucified in the 33rd year of his life.
There you go.
Ooh, lots of 33s.
Lots of 33s. And there are a ton of 33s in headlines and news reports. It's everywhere.
That's right. For those who don't know, generally 33, when you see it in the news, is used as a signaling device, more sort of a hiding in plain sight signaling to let the elites know that this is something to pay attention to for one reason or another, which will more or less remain a mystery until the cows come home. But what do you got?
Well, this first one is eatthis.com. It's a website called Eat This Not That. And they outlined on July 14th 33 worst mistakes you're making at the grocery store. So we're not going to even read it, but that's the first 33 report. You want to do the next one? A little more intense. A little more intense one on the next one.
Okay, we're just going to zoom through. This one's on Reuters.com. China says 33 rivers hit record levels as floods situation remain grim. Ooh.
Yeah, and this story is have you seen footage coming out of China and all the flooding going on? You haven't?
I had no idea.
It's crazy. Oh, it's insane. It's like judgment over there.
Weird.
It's as if Trump busted out his new, heart machine or something and started to mess with the oceans and stuff. It's pretty crazy. Have you seen the pictures? There's pictures here.
I'm looking at the picture now. So you got like a pagoda type thing that's almost fully submerged in water. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and of course, 33 rivers in China have risen to their highest levels in history during the current wave of floods. And of course, Yi Jianchun, Vice Minister of Water Resources, told a briefing that 433 rivers, as well as major lakes like the Dongting, the Poyang, and the Tai, have all risen beyond their warning levels since the flood season began in June. So a couple 33s in there.
Okay, what else we got?
Just wanted to make sure people are staying safe out there. Another 33 report. This one is the techrepublic.com. Data breaches declined 33% in the first half of 2020.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. And apparently Elon didn't get the memo. Publicly reported U.S. identity compromises dropped 33% in the first half of 2020 compared to the first half of 2019. So there's another 33. This is all in the last couple days, by the way, these headlines. July, we're looking at July 13th, 14th, around that time. Okay. And today's the 15th. And then...
Well, we can head over to Florida. There's a tweet here by Jesse Milton for U.S. Congress. 33 Florida labs were just busted cooking the books, reporting 98% positivity rather than 9.8%. Regarding coronavirus testing labs there, 33 of them were busted cooking the books.
I think this was, and I looked into it a little bit, and yeah, I think that's pretty bad. If you're doing 98%, they reported 98% when it was 9.8. I mean, what is it, a decimal place mistake? A convenient decimal place mistake? I don't know, but that's pretty egregious. Yeah, 33 Florida labs. That's a lot of labs. Of course, 33. Let's keep moving on here. This is Forbes.com. In the past 33 days, Texas set coronavirus hospitalization records 31 times. They couldn't get to 33.
Why would they choose that specific time frame of 33 days? Interesting.
I don't know. They were probably trying to do the 33 days, 33 records, but they only hit 31. They fell short. Somebody's getting fired.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, let's go over here to DallasNews.com. 33-year-old man missing from far north Dallas found safe. Well, that's good. I'm glad he's back, but there you go, another 33. The 33-year-olds are always in trouble. We had the 33-year-old Glee actress who went missing as well, and this was also a 33-year-old who went missing, but they found this guy, so that's nice.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Why are all the 33-year-olds going missing these days?
Actually, it might not be nice. Now that I'm reading the article, Dallas police are seeking the public's help in locating a missing 33-year-old man who could be a danger to himself and others. Oh, no.
Oh, great.
There you go. Michael Wayne Allen was last seen on foot about 1 p.m. Tuesday, blah, 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 blah. There we go. Yeah, so, well, at least we got him. So that's good.
Yeah. And I have, just to add to this, I found some montages of news reports reporting on 33 cases. This is about a minute montage of news. Yeah.
Real quick, before we go into that clip montage, This is really weird from the Dallas News. The headline is 33-year-old man missing from far north Dallas found safe. And then there's an update. Michael Wayne Allen has been found safe. So it makes you think like, ooh, he was in danger and we're so glad we found him. But the original post is he's a wanted criminal, basically. so
he's safe, guys. Now that
we're looking for this guy. He's armed and dangerous and a danger to himself and others. Oh, whew. Good. We found him safe.
Well, goes to show the misleading headlines there.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so let's take a listen to this. This is a mesh up of a bunch of news reports with the number 33.
At the time of the posting this morning, there were 33 cases that had passed away.
In the last 24 hours, out of 2,428 new test results, there were 33 new cases. Last 24 hours, out of 4,017 new test results, there were 33 new cases.
We have 1,917 coronavirus cases in Victoria. That's 33 more than yesterday.
Are now 33 cases in Louisiana.
A total of 33 people in our state have been tested and are confirmed to have the coronavirus.
These latest stats as the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Rhode Island jumps by 33 overnight.
We have 33 confirmed positive cases in Arkansas. Wow. Currently, there are 33 confirmed cases in Arkansas.
We've also learned at least 33 people have died from COVID-19 complications.
As the coronavirus cases continue to surge in India, the state of lockdown has been extended to 33 states and union territories.
21 to 33.
33 new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed overall yesterday.
That is 33 new cases from just yesterday.
That's a lot of 33s.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
did you put that little montage together, or did somebody else put that together?
Somebody else had a few of them, and then I found another one that had a few of them, so I kind of meshed them up together.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a little out of control, man.
That is strange. That is so weird.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah,
that's our updates.
Another 33 we actually had sent in from a producer emailed us.
Right.
Let's see if I have it right in front of me here.
I got it here.
Up the email. Well, here it is. Thank you, Elijah, for sending us this. And it says here, because of CBS Sports NFL insider Jason LaConfora reports that the NFL will be shaving 2 weeks off this year's preseason. All games that were scheduled to be played in week 1 and week 4 of the preseason will be canceled. The decision means that a total of 33 games have now been called off due to the coronavirus pandemic. There you go. So another 33 and related to coronavirus. So holy smokes.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's something there.
Okay.
And just for anyone wondering, if you go to, we leave all links in the canarycrynewstalk.com, and you can get all the resources here. But this is quodb.com. It just basically pulls up a bunch of movie quotes, and it gives you the movie and the timestamp of when it's said, which is kind of nice. You just type in 33 and a bunch of stuff pulls up, 5 pages worth, at least here. You got The Godfather Part 2 at 3 hours, 2 minutes. You got I Remember You Talking About Hitler back in 33. Die Hard in 1988 at 26 minutes. 32 construction, 33 computers. Man of Steel in 2013. For 33 years we prepared. Pain and Gain in 2013. It just says 33. I don't know what the context is there. And then Iron Man. Well, you get the point. 33s are very common.
Yes, I think that many 33 COVID infections being reported in, a dozen different places around the world is a little stranger, but that's okay. 33 is everywhere. Got to pay attention.
Yep.
Okay, we are lagging on time, Gons, and that alarm will sound, and it will be an unpleasant noise. So
yes, it will.
Why don't you bring us into our first story here?
We have a new jingle for masks, and we had a few sent in.
Okay.
But I thought just a clip from The Dark Knight will suffice.
If you're working alone, wear a mask. The mask's not for you. It's to protect the people you care about.
Oh, there we go. Classic.
Just straight up
that's
tells
exactly what we're being told. The mask is not for you. It's for the people you care about.
Yeah. This is MSN.com. And this is actually, I think this was published on LA Times originally, but of course, the paywall. So thank you, MSN, for republishing. They actually republish a bunch of articles that have firewalls. Not firewalls, but paywalls.
Yeah.
The title of this article, Masks Offer Much More Protection Against Coronavirus Than Many Think.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, making claims. There's a common refrain that masks don't protect you. They protect other people from your own germs, which is especially important to keep unknowingly infected people from spreading the coronavirus. But now there's mounting evidence that masks also protect you, which is completely 100% contradictory to what we've been told here.
Right.
If you're unlucky enough to encounter an infectious person, wearing any kind of face covering will reduce the amount of virus that your body will take in. As it turns out, that's pretty important. Breathing in a small amount of virus may lead to no disease or far more mild infection. But inhaling a huge volume of virus particles can result in serious disease or death. So you can breathe in a little bit of virus and you may not even get infected, or you might have a mild infection. But if you inhale a large amount, I don't know what public situation where you're
breathing in my face, everybody. Yeah. And we're going to talk too much about masks today. We're kind of over that. We've talked about it for many episodes now, but I was trying to figure out, because there is that thing going around where the scientist did some tests where he breathed, coughed, sang, sneezed, did all these things, threw a mask onto a petri dish to see, what grew. And what he did was he grew bacteria cultures derived from this experiment. And so to try to show, like, hey, look, the mask blocks bacteria, so therefore the virus is also blocked. Problem is that viruses are exponentially smaller than bacteria. Just to give an idea of what it takes to look at the things like bacteria and viruses, you can actually look at a bacteria through just kind of like your regular school microscope, the kind you might use in science class. But to take pictures of these viruses, they're so much smaller. You have to use an electron microscope, which means you literally have to shoot subatomic particles at these things and measure them that way and take pictures that way. You can't just see them, not just with your naked eye. You can't even see them with a microscope. So there you go. It's a whole thing.
So this whole argument about inhaling more huge volume of virus particles can result in death or disease, that's the argument Dr. Monica Gandhi, UC San Francisco professor of medicine and medical director of the HIV clinic at Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital, is making. Whoa, careful there.
Sorry.
Is
I
making
pulled the wrong lever on my chair and I sunk.
I saw you went down. That's what this professor or doctor is making about why, if you do become infected with the virus, masking can still protect you from more severe disease. And here's the quote from her. There is this theory. It's a theory. It's not even proven, apparently, that facial masking reduces the amount of virus you get exposed to and disease severity, said Gandhi, who is also director for the Center for AIDS Research at UC San Francisco. Mm-hmm. The idea of requiring mask wearing in public has become an increasingly pressing and politicized issue as California and the rest of the nation sees a surge in new cases as the economy reopens. There's a part here that I wanted to get to because I thought it was just fantastic. Let me try to find it here as we move along here. It talks about Orange County. Some health experts were appalled by the language. This anti-mask rhetoric is mind-blowing, dangerous, deadly, and polarizing, said Dr. Chin Hong, professor of medicine at an infectious disease specialist at UC San Francisco. There's no evidence that it is dangerous. I think they meant the mask is dangerous. That's a weird a weird
way to put it.
Weird way to put it, yeah.
Who knows what they're saying?
Yes, I'm trying to get to... Did I highlight it? Yes, I did. Okay. All right. So it says down here, masks don't filter out all viral particles, Gandhi said, but even cloth face masks filter out a majority of viral particles. And even if a person wearing a mask gets infected, the mask, by filtering out most of the viral particles exhaled by the infected person, probably leads to less severe disease, Gandhi said. And then it says here, I'm trying to find the spot. Where is it? This is such a long article that hold on, I'm going to do a word search because there it is. Finally, a study published in May found that surgical mask partitions significantly reduce the transmission of coronavirus among hamsters.
Oh, good.
And even if the hamsters protected by the mask partitions acquired the coronavirus, quote, they were more likely to get very mild disease, Gandhi said. And I actually pulled up oh, that's not it. What happened to it? Here it is. The Oxford Academic Clinical Infectious Disease research paper here. Looks like a lot of it was done in China back in May. It's titled Surgical Mask Partition Reduces the Risk of Non-Contact Transmission in a Golden Syrian Hamster Model for Coronavirus Disease 2019.
Golden Syrian Hamster Model.
The conclusion that they came to is SARS-CoV-2 could be transmitted by respiratory droplets or airborne droplet nuclei in the hamster model. Such transmission could be reduced by surgical mask usage, especially when masks were worn by infected individuals.
Hamsters?
So, individual hamsters.
They put masks on the hamsters? Why don't we give masks to the bunnies? We got a bunny Ebola plague nobody is talking about. We need to start masking these bunnies. We can mask hamsters. We can mask the bunnies.
Yep. So there you go. That's the gist of this whole deal of masks, and of course, everyone's saying, put on your mask because science. Because look at the hamsters.
Well, yeah. And of course, there's a bunch of other stores who are now requiring masks. Kroger and Walmart and Sam's Club. Everybody's requiring masks now. There's some fun videos of people trying to get into Walmart without masks and being met with extreme force.
Yeah. Really? What kind of force?
Have you not seen that? There's a video of a guy trying to get into Walmart without a mask and really makes a fool of himself trying to juke the people, the vest clad
security guards or something.
Yeah, not even security guards, just regular employees. Trying pushing them, getting all aggro about it. Lots of videos. It's fun, but better than masks, Gons. I've got something for you, and it's a little bit of beast fashion, and I think you got a new jingle you want to show us.
I do. Did I pull up the beast fashion? I thought I did. I thought I moved it in here, but maybe I didn't. Yeah, but I do have a, when this mask thing, or especially the toilet paper thing first started, I talked about how the movie Bubble Boy was predictive programming. And there's a scene there from Bubble Boy that I think is going to relate to the story.
Some bubble vato going to help me.
All right, so we're going to go over to Bloomberg.com, and the article is titled Hazmat Suits for Air Travel Are Here. After the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention officially recommended widespread use of face masks to help slow the spread of COVID-19 coronavirus, the minimalist medical mask quickly got reimagined as a fashion accessory. Then, model Naomi Campbell, a famous germaphobe, and musician Erykah Badu stepped it up a notch, sporting custom hazmat suits for stylish social distancing. Now, with the novel coronavirus pandemic showing no sign of slowing, travelers are taking note. Yazine Al-Kaisi says hot hazmats are just the thing to make flying feel safe again. Remember, feel safe. Okay. In mid-April, the co-founder of Visor Technologies, a Toronto-based company specializing in personal protective gear, launched a new product called the BioVisor via crowdfunding site Indiegogo. The $250 futuristic-looking outer layer resembles the top half of an astronaut's uniform with anti-fogging windows and a built-in hospital-grade air purifying device. Paranoid flyers are quick to scoop it up, pre-ordering about 50,000 suits and raising $400,000 for the nascent company. The first batch is set to be delivered by the end of July. Nobody, not even Al Casey, knows how TSA officials or airline staff will react to the suit, but that hasn't dissuaded such early adopters as Jenny Maxwell. Wow, what an unfortunate name to have right now.
The Karen Maxwells are probably the worst off right now.
Karen Maxwell, yeah, that's a pretty brutal name to have. A talent manager based in Nashville, the mother of two children aged 10 and 4, had been on the fence about returning this fall to her childhood home of St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands to see her parents. Quote, "I was especially concerned about a 4-year-old not being able to keep a mask on for a flight," she says. After learning about BioVisor through an email from Indiegogo, she and her husband decided that being laughed at for looking like Teletubbies would be worth a degree of safety. $1,000 later, the family of 4 feels better prepared to travel. Quote, "They give us a lot of peace of mind," says Maxwell, "and the kids are excited to wear their space helmets. If nothing else, they will be a strange souvenir of this crazy time." I think that's probably the most reasonable way to look at this. It's a crazy souvenir, a souvenir from this crazy time. Put it in the memory trunk, and later on down the line, your grandchildren can pull it out of the attic, and they'll either be like, "Whoa, this is crazy," or "Whoa, we all wear these. There is nothing wrong with this."
Look at this old primitive version.
Yes, yes. Look at this ancient version of our now ubiquitous hazmat suit. Al Casey says the suit is an adaptation of his company's first invention, a solar visor meant to provide hands-free shade in desert environments. Quote, "When the COVID-19 outbreak happened, we realized that in a perfect world, everyone would have access to a powered air purifying respirator," he says, referring to a respirator device that provides clean, filtered air from a lithium battery-operated blower. PAPRs provide more protection than a face mask, but aren't as extreme as a full hazmat suit. Ordinarily taking the form of those of a loose-fitted hood or helmet, they're commonly used by firefighters, medical workers, and people in pharmaceutical and chemical labs. Quote, "We've taken a product usually limited to healthcare and industrial settings that's typically priced around $1,800 and adapted it to be accessible to the public," Al Casey says. So there's much more to this article, just sort of describing the product, but I think just looking at a picture, you can get the point.
Most modeling is kind of acting like a beast, but making it fashion. Beast. But then make it fashion.
There it is. There it is. Beast fashion. So there you go. This is the future of fashion.
You know what's going to be... What's that?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say... couple things. One, if you have an itch on your face, is that the little holes there in the zipper? Is that what that's for? And doesn't that defeat the purpose if you have to touch your face?
Yeah, that's certainly a problem. They did say later on in the article that they're going to add like a Camelback hydration pouch on the back so you can have like some water inside there. And they also said they're going to add a flap so you can use a stethoscope. I guess that's specifically for healthcare workers, but it was an interesting detail anyways.
Yeah, the other part is your farewells and your greetings off of your airplanes are going to be a lot less intimate.
Yeah, no kissing.
Two people.
No kissing, and the hugs are going to be weird. All rubbery.
Anyway, rubbery, and yeah. How are they going to take care of the... I would imagine that the insides of this stuff is going to be pretty gross. If you're going to wear it all around for hours at a time, it's probably just
probably.
not the...
I meant to have a mask ready because I have my oximeter here. Last episode, I mentioned Dame Island Girl sent me this oximeter. So I have this, and, I was trying to measure my oxygen levels with a mask. I personally wasn't having an issue, not to say nobody else would, but I wanted to do it live on the air here, but I don't know if if my mask made it to my desk. So I might look around a little bit while you check out this next article.
All right, we're going to do a couple COVID vaccine articles here.
Okay, let's hear it.
COVID.
Vaccine.
This is from Reuters and, of course, republished on news.yahoo.com. Wall Street climbs on vaccine bets, Goldman results. And it says here, U.S. stocks climbed on Wednesday with the S&P 500 approaching its highest level in more than 4 months after promising early data for the potential COVID-19 vaccine and a strong quarterly report from Goldman Sachs. Moderna Inc. surged 9.2% after a small-scale study showed its experimental COVID-19 vaccine produced high levels of virus-killing antibodies. Travel-related stocks, Carnival Corp., Royal Caribbean Cruises Ltd., Marriott International, and Wynn Resorts rose between 7% and 20%, with the S&P 1500 Airlines Index up 10%. It just gives you more stock stuff here, but it says, adding to investors' enthusiasm, the Federal Reserve's Beige Book survey showed U.S. businesses saw an uptick in activity into the beginning of July as states eased restrictions to contain the novel coronavirus pandemic, but that many were uncertain about the economic outlook. However, the U.S. has failed to control the coronavirus, and there's a high level of uncertainty over how much the pandemic will affect the economy. Philadelphia Federal Reserve Bank President Patrick Harker said, as a number of U.S. Sunbelt states report a surge in COVID-19 cases recently. The three main U.S. stock indexes have recouped most of their losses from the coronavirus-led slump, with a raft of stimulus measures and encouraging economic data lifting the S&P 500 to about 5% below its record high hit in February. And I think the main takeaway and the point here is that Wall Street is getting rich from these vaccines.
Yeah.
And whether they work or not.
We got to figure out which company is going to come out with the first vaccine, because that would be a good stock tip if we could figure out that company ahead of time. And,
they mentioned Moderna, but we already missed the 9.2% surge today.
Yeah, well, the problem also is that all these vaccines have been prepaid for. So most of the money, at least on the first round of vaccines, they've already been purchased. So I'm sure that's where a little bump came from when the news about that came out. So there we go. We'll keep an eye out. Again, we're not very good at stock tips, but if we can figure out which company is going to get the biggest vaccine contract, then we might be able to make a buck. All right, so I've got this thingy on here. I'm setting the control level. I kind of tend to float around. So this number up here is your oxygen saturation. I kind of tend to float between 96 and 98 normally in general. I think
What's the normal range?
What?
What's like standard range for?
I think 100% is the best.
Oh,
I think it's like 100%.
You're lacking some air.
I do. I generally kind of lack some oxygen, but I kind of float around 97 usually. And I was curious because I did this test when I was just alone and I wasn't talking, and I realized that, I need to test it while I'm doing the show because I'm talking so much and breathing heavily from reading about Flippy. But so here we go. I got my mask off right now, and I'm kind of fluctuating between 98 and 96. Seems like when I'm breathing to talk, I'll kind of stay at 98. So we're going to do a test. I'm going to let it sit here for a little bit longer without the mask on, just so we can continue to take the control levels here. and then I will put the mask on in a little bit, and we'll see if it has an effect. So there we go. I'm holding this up. I'll take it down in a second, but it keeps going back from 98 and 97 right now. All right, so in the meantime, let's check out this other vaccine update.
We're taking things that are genetically modified organisms and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein, right into the vein, right into the vein.
Right into the vein, right into the vein. Here we go. Another finance.yahoo.com. The article is titled, Bill and Melinda Gates Lobby U.S. Congress for Tougher Virus Action. This we already know, but there's some interesting little tidbits in here that are worth taking note of as we continue to pay attention and analyze how things are being expressed here in mainstream outlets. The article reads, the $46 billion Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is pushing the U.S. Congress for tougher action to stop the spread of coronavirus to counter what its founders see as an anti-science stance by the Trump administration. Speaking to the Financial Times, Melinda Gates, who leads the foundation with her husband, Microsoft founder Bill Gates, said she was deeply disappointed by the stance of President Trump over COVID-19 and anticipated repercussions in the coming election. Quote, I think you'll see the American people speak in the fall, she said, warning that, quote, the populace needs to speak out against any leader that's not using the tools and data available to fight COVID-19. Her comments came as the Gates Foundation released a white paper, racist, highlighting the pernicious impact of COVID-19 on women, as well as other areas of inequality. The pair have refrained from becoming directly involved in partisan American politics to date. Okay. Preferring to focus on apolitical health issues and the developing world. Quote, we are a bipartisan couple, said Mrs. Gates. We have worked incredibly effectively with the Bush administration and the Obama administration. They had... Yes?
I'm just saying, wow, so amazing. Bush and Obama.
They had been prompted to speak out because they believe the Trump administration, quote, isn't the right leadership right now for the country. The couple have not yet decided whether to use their largesse to back candidates in the 2020 presidential race. Quote, Bill and I are having many conversations by phone with members of the Hill, Senate, and House, she said, about how to advance science-based, evidence-based policies on COVID-19. Quote, we know right now our only tools are testing, contact tracing, quarantine, and masks. Any leader that's not using the tools and data available, the populace needs to speak out against. She praised Anthony Fauci, the embattled White House medical advisor, and his colleague Deborah Birx, who interestingly enough have alternating views on what should be done, but that's besides the point, as the only figures in the White House who understood the severity of the pandemic and deplored the political pressure from Mr. Trump on the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Quote, why don't we have good national testing and quarantine and response plan? It's because of what happened at the CDC, said Mrs. Gates. Interesting how they don't go into detail there. They just quote her as saying, it's because of what happened at the CDC. Dun, dun, dun. She also decried Mr. Trump's decision to withdraw from the World Health Organization, for which the Gates are the second largest donor. Quote, nobody can make up for the U.S. government funding. Except for you, maybe? Luckily, it takes over a year to pull out of the WHO. We're having an election in the fall in the U.S., so we'll wait to see what happens after that. That was an interesting point that I was not aware of. She's claiming here that even stating that you're going to pull out, it takes a year to actually have that be the practical case. So yeah, with Trump pulling out, that could all change in the election, which of course a lot of things will change in the election. if Trump does not get reelected. The article continues, the Gates Foundation is among the organizations pouring funds into the search for a COVID-19 vaccine. Mrs. Gates said she believed there was only a very low chance of finding a vaccine this year. Quote, hopefully we'll have one in the first half of next year, she said. We have to make sure that it's equitably distributed. The first people that need to get this vaccine are healthcare workers. Guess what? 70% of the healthcare workers are women, so they should get it first. And then the most vulnerable populations, country by country, she said. That's interesting. 70% of healthcare workers are women. I wonder. I think it's
supposed to be. It's an attempt to. This whole thing is sort of an anti-Trump flavor to it.
Oh,
so I think she's trying to be like, oh, see, Trump hates women too.
Yeah.
And
right. Well, yeah, of course. But yeah, that's interesting. I have not looked at the numbers for that, but that is quite the majority if 70% of healthcare workers are women, especially since the sort of, I don't know, cultural idea of the healthcare industry is that there's too many men doctors. We need more women doctors. Of course, this probably includes nurses and radiologists and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
right.
Continuing, though, just to finish out the article, quote, this pandemic is exposing the cracks in society and the gaps. Our economies are built on the backs of women's labor. So we finish it out there, making it all about issues of gender.
If it's not gender, it's race. I don't understand why she's pushing the whole we'll have a vaccine the first half of next year. And of course, there's a lot of reports of recently of 30,000 people trials going out there. They're already testing vaccines on people, so it's just there's no consistency whatsoever for a group of people saying
science is truth.
There's no consistency whatsoever in the messaging coming from all these different science leaders,
right? From the WHO, the CDC, and then you've got the media having entirely different claims, and then of course the Gates having their own opinion here. So after reading that article, I was at 96. Looks like I'm still at 96, 97, kind of fluctuating there. Ooh, fell down to 95. This is not looking good.
Losing
94.
air.
Oh no, I'm losing oxygen as I speak here. That's what I get for talking so much. So I'm going to put on my mask here, and we'll continue the show and check in after the next article I read.
New jingle.
We are in deep fake.
We are in deep fake, not deep.
That's a good one. I like
poop.
That.
This is from Reuters. Deep fake used to attack activist couple shows new disinformation frontier. Oliver Taylor, a student at England's University of Birmingham, is a 20-something with brown eyes, light stubble, and a slightly stiff smile. A combination photograph showing, this is just the commentary on the image of the picture here, and you can see the heat map on the face, and it'll get into what that's all about here. Online profiles describe him as a coffee lover and politics junkie who was raised in a traditional Jewish home. His half-dozen freelance editorials and blog posts reveal an active interest in anti-Semitism and Jewish affairs, with bylines in the Jerusalem Post and the Times of Israel. The catch? Oliver Taylor seems to be an elaborate fiction. His university says it has no record of him. He has no obvious online footprint beyond an account on the question and answer site Quora, where he was active for 2 days in March. 2 newspapers that published his work say they have tried and failed to confirm his identity, and experts in deceptive imagery used state-of-the-art forensics analysis programs to determine that Taylor's profile photo is a hyper-realistic forgery, a deep fake. Who is behind Taylor isn't known by Reuters. Calls to the UK phone number he supplied to editors drew an automated error message, and he didn't respond to messages left at the Gmail address he used for correspondence.
Interesting.
Reuters was alerted to Taylor by London academic Mazen Masri, who drew international attention in late 2018 when he helped launch an Israeli lawsuit against the surveillance company NSO on behalf of an alleged Mexican victim of the company's phone hacking technology. In an article in U.S. Jewish newspaper The Allgemeiner, Taylor had accused Masri and his wife, Palestinian rights campaigner Rika Barnard, of being, quote, known terrorist sympathizers. Masri and Barnard were taken aback by the allegation, which they deny, but they were also baffled as to why a university student would single them out. Masri said he pulled up Taylor's profile photo. He couldn't put his finger on it, he said, but something about the young man's face, quote, seemed off. 6 experts interviewed by Reuters say the image has the characteristics of a deep fake. Quote, the distortion and inconsistencies in the background are a telltale sign of a synthesized image, as are a few glitches around his neck and collar, said digital image forensics pioneer Hani Farid, who teaches at the University of California, Berkeley. Artist Mario Klingemann, who regularly uses deepfakes in his work, said the photo, quote, has all the hallmarks. I'm 100% sure, he said. And there's a picture there, a ventriloquist's dummy. The Taylor persona is rare in the wild example of a phenomenon that has emerged as a key anxiety of the digital age, the marriage of deepfakes and disinformation. The threat is drawing increasing concern in Washington and Silicon Valley. Last year, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff warned that computer-generated video, quote, could turn a world leader into a ventriloquist's dummy. Last month, Facebook announced the conclusion of its deepfake detection challenge, a competition intended to help researchers automatically identify falsified footage. Last week, online publication The Daily Beast revealed a network of deepfake journalists, part of a larger group of bogus personas seeding propaganda online. Deepfakes, like Taylor, are dangerous because they can help build, quote, a totally untraceable identity, said Dan Brahmi, whose Israel-based company Sayabra specializes in detecting such images. Sayabra. It's like a surfer. Brahmi said investigators chasing the origin of such photos are left, quote, searching for a needle in a haystack, except the needle doesn't exist. Taylor appears to have had no online presence until he started writing articles in late December. The University of Birmingham said in a statement it could not find, quote, any record of this individual using these details. Editors at the Jerusalem Post and the Allgemeiner say they published Taylor after he pitched them stories cold over email. He didn't ask for payment, they said, and they didn't take aggressive steps to vet his identity. Quote, we're not a counterintelligence operation, Allgemeiner editor-in-chief David Efun said, although he noted that the paper had introduced new safeguards since. After Reuters began asking about Taylor, the Allgemeiner and the Times of Israel deleted his work. Taylor emailed both papers protesting the removal, but Times of Israel opinion editor Miriam Hirschlag said she rebuffed him after he failed to prove his identity. Efun said he didn't respond to Taylor's messages. The Jerusalem Post and Aratz Shiva have kept Taylor's articles online, although the latter removed the, quote, terrorist sympathizers reference following a complaint from Masri and Barnard. The Post's editor-in-chief Yaakov Katz didn't respond when asked whether Taylor's work would stay up. Arutz Shiva editor Yoni Kempinski said only that, quote, in many cases, news outlets use pseudonyms to byline opinion articles. Kempinski declined to elaborate or say whether he considered Taylor a pseudonym. Oliver Taylor's articles drew minimal engagement on social media, but the Times of Israel's Hirschlag said they were still dangerous, not only because they could distort the public discourse, but also because they risked making people in their position less willing to take chances on unknown writers. Quote, absolutely, we need to screen out imposters and up our defenses, she said, but I don't want to set up these barriers that prevent new voices from being heard.
Interesting.
And, you know, I think the biggest thing here, not just the deep fakes are obviously troubling, but that part about vetting is where this is headed. You know, the biometrics, all this identifiable information. that proves that you are you in the digital age. That's, I think, the more troubling or alarming aspect of this. Of course, the deepfake part of it is troubling too, but that's kind of my takeaway from this,
that's
this
interesting.
article.
And it's interesting. I want to know what, it calls him an activist, and that he was sending articles to places like the Jerusalem Post, but they don't really mention a lot about the content of the articles he was writing. So they don't mention, what kind of activist he was, or what, I
think he's like an anti-Palestinian.
Was that?
Yeah.
Did you look up any of his articles or anything?
I didn't do that, but I think it mentioned something like that in the article somewhere.
I was trying to scan through it. I couldn't quite, find a hard line on what exactly he was in the ways of activism. Maybe I missed it though, but I did look through. But that is interesting. Maybe we should try to look up some of his articles one of these days. But there you go. I mean, this is the deep fake in action, which is interesting because it seems like, as an individual, he's not necessarily a very unique looking guy as far as the deep fake is concerned. What would be the purpose necessarily of doing a deep fake versus just using somebody else's picture? I mean, if both are going to be, discovered as fakers, then what's even the point, I guess? But we've been warning about deep fakes taking over the internet for a long time. And of course, everybody should be worried about deep fakes as far as, the videos you watch, and especially when it comes to sensational videos and stories. But talk about online anonymity. Maybe I need to get myself a deep fake here.
This looks like Tom from MySpace. Just reminds me of Tom.
He does look like Tom. He looks exactly like Tom.
Yeah, maybe Tom was digitized by the Israeli intelligence or something.
Yeah, who knows? Very interesting. Well, I think we should look into this guy, see the types of stuff that he was writing, and maybe talk about him on another show. Just a little update here. I got my oximeter with the mask on. Now, I haven't been reading or talking very much. I did fall to 95 right there. I'm at 95% right now, which I did hit with the mask off, but no very intense data points right now. But let me try to read this story. We're going to go into a break here in a second, but I found a story I think is worth just putting out there. Nothing new, but it'll help me test my oxygen level, but it should be interesting. This is westernjournal.com, and the article's titled "Newsom Shuts Down California Churches Indefinitely." Wow. You have your 3-day lockdown Gons that you're under right now, but they knew enough to shut down the state for 3 days, but cancel church indefinitely. The article reads, the California Department of Health clarified Tuesday that indoor religious services in the state have been suspended indefinitely. Over 4 months after California initially instituted a lockdown on March 19th, the state issued a new order on Monday that rolled back reopening plans. The guidance mandates that restaurants, bars, churches, fitness centers, hair salons, and barbershops must be closed in 30 of the hardest hit counties in California. Quote, "We're going back into modification mode of our original stay-home order," Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom said, according to the New York Times. Quote, "This continues to be a deadly disease." The DCNF pressed both the governor's office and the California Department of Health on when Californians may attend indoor religious services again and what punishments Californians face if they do attempt to attend banned services. Oh, yikes. Newsom's office referred the DCNF to the California Department of Health. CDPH referred to the DCNF to a news release on the matter, noting that the order went into effect immediately and that it will remain in effect indefinitely until the state public health officer decides to lift it. CDPH did not provide an end date. CDPH would not directly address what punishments Californians might face if they continue to gather for indoor religious services. Quote, the governor has consistently said that asking people to do the right thing is the most powerful enforcement tool we have, spokeswoman Ali Bay told DCNF. Quote, we all have a shared responsibility to do the right thing, to not only protect ourselves, but those around us. This is a statewide requirement and flows from the same legal authority as all of the other state orders, she added. Californians have done incredible work. This is a quote. Following those orders, saving lives in the process. We expect that will continue to be the case. Yeah, I guess, except for your state has one of the highest new COVID case numbers in the country, but okay. The new guidelines come after months of outrage from Californians who have been prevented from attending religious services. The Department of Justice intervened in May, warning the governor that California's reopening plan discriminates against houses of worship. Quote, simply put, there is no pandemic exception to the U.S. Constitution and its Bill of Rights, Eric S. Dryband, the head of the Justice Department Civil Rights Division, said in May. Dryband also reminded Newsom that Attorney General William Barr recently issued a statement in which Barr emphasized that, quote, even in times of emergency, federal statutory law prohibits discrimination against religious institutions and religious believers. Quote, government may not impose special restrictions on religious activity that do not also apply to similar non-religious activity, Barr said. Quote, for example, if a government allows movie theaters, restaurants, concert halls, and other comparable places of assembly to remain open and unrestricted, it may not order houses of worship to close, limit in their congregation size, or otherwise impede religious gatherings. The Justice Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment from DCNF. So there you go. It's no surprise that California is shutting down specifically indoor religious services. But there you go. Maybe you just got to go have church in the park or something. There's nothing wrong with that. But while we're on it, oh, look at that. After reading that article, my oximeter does read 94 and 93. So I did get a point or two below my non-mask wearing oximeter level, and that did just fluctuate up to 95. So we did get 1 point of 1 point down, 1% down of oxygen while reading that article there. But I gotta say, it is really uncomfortable. I'm gonna take my mask off now because it is hard to breathe and read and do a show. So that's what I do for you folks. Boots on the ground, making the sacrifices. Oh, whew, that's nice. Fresh air. Okay, we'll see. We'll take one more reading with the mask off to see if it goes up. I'm currently still at 94. We'll see how that changes. All right, Gons, what do you think?
Let's do the break.
Okay, time to take a little break.
It's break time.
That's right. We're just going to take a quick little break, everybody. Don't go anywhere, though, because after the break, we've got a very interesting story on the decline of human population going on right now and where that may lead us in the year 2100, which sounds pretty far off, Gons, but with all the craziness promising that we can extend our human lives, we might actually be alive in 2100, which is pretty crazy to think about.
You might be alive.
What?
You might be alive. I'll go home.
Yeah, okay. Then we're going to be talking about Soros. Soros has got some pretty interesting things going on and some regulations surrounding investors like Soros. So we got some money. We're going to be talking about Nick Cannon and some unfortunate statements that he made on a podcast. If you remember, Nick Cannon is a celebrity, but he hosted a meeting for the Black Lives Matter Black Militia group that we spoke about on the last episode. So we'll kind of get some thinking of what's going on with this guy. And let's see, some more money stuff. Oh, and the coins shortage. So a lot of interesting stuff after the break. Don't go anywhere, anybody, because there's more show. But we want to take the opportunity right now to thank some of our Twitch followers. And so, Gons, you got your dinger dinged here, buddy?
It's ready.
Oh my gosh, we've got some funny names following us on Twitch during the show. You'll see that in a second. So first of all, let's start off and thank Savage Juicebox. Thank you very much for following us on Twitch. Then we have Karen Maxwell 2020. I do like the live thing because people are on top of it. Trollger 69. Oh boy, watch out for the Trollger. Isaiah 4214. William Steele. Oh, we got William Steele, notorious jewel thief.
He will steal.
Friend of Ghislaine Maxwell. Arnie W27. Oh my gosh, I just registered what you said, and that makes so much sense. Will Steele. Will Steele the jewel thief. Wow, okay, moving on. Mischievous Chase. Sweet D 572. Lily of the Valley. Defend Your Soul. And we got K. Spielman. E. Torres 73. Keen Peachy 0. There we go. I think that's all of our new Twitch followers. I can't remember if we thanked this person before, but the very next person on the list is Conspiracies Do Exist. So thank you all for following us on Twitch. It helps us out quite a bit. As you know, our YouTube channels have been demonetized and videos taken down, streams interrupted. So if you haven't done it yet, go follow us at twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. If nothing else, then just for a backup stream in case YouTube decides to cut the cord. Gons, I also want to take the opportunity on this break to plug the Canary Cry Radio Plex server. Have you you heard about this? You heard about this?
I heard about it. I
got the go ahead. Yeah. Okay. So over on canarycry.community, which is a real URL, canarycry.community. That's our off Facebook social media platform made just for Canary Cry Radio listeners. If you haven't done it yet, you should go to canarycry.community, join up. You can't use your Facebook account. Sorry, you got to make a whole new account. But it's a great spot. There's a close to a couple thousand Canary Cry Radio listeners over there, and all sorts of good conversations going on, from meme lists, lots of meme sharing, all the way down to prayer requests and threads exploring deeper into a lot of the issues that we talk about here on the show, as well as listeners just getting to know each other, meeting each other in real life, making friends. It's a great place, if you're a Canary Cry Radio listener, to meet others just like you. It's not all sunshine and unicorns over there. You know, people still have disagreements and discussions, but for the most part, everybody gets along and people are of the same mind. So that's great. Now, I got us now back to the topic at hand, the Canary Cry Radio Plex server. Gons, you and I did not do the work to put this together, but a listener over on Canary Cry community named John did it for us. And well, basically, Plex is a service. It's a video hosting service where you can put together collections of videos, and they're hosted on Plex, so you're not having to patronize YouTube or anything like that. And you're able to put on some stuff that would normally, get taken down for whatever censorship reasons. But John over there put together a great server filled with Canary Cry Radio related material. Good place to binge watch some things, not just kind of the conspiracy theory videos or weird stuff that you might be interested in, but they also they put up robot jocks There's a Basil playlist apparently. Yes, in one of my favorite movies, Robot Jocks, an old 80s movie about geopolitics and giant robots. That's up there. So if you've always wanted to watch my favorite movie, you can get it on the Plex server. Now here's the thing. It's not as simple as just going to a link. There's a couple of steps you got to take to get into the Canary Cry Radio Plex server. And, I will recommend, if you want to do that, if you want to check it out, go to Canary Cry community, get canarycry.community. It's a real URL, and, join up. And there is a thread on the forum. You can just use the search function and search for Canary Cry Radio Plex server. He's got a step-by-step how-to into gaining access to the Plex server, and it's a bunch of great Canary Cry Radio curated by listeners of the show, producers, if I will. So there you go. I recommend everybody check it out. It's pretty cool. I personally have not spent a whole lot of time on there. I'm not 100% aware of everything on there, but it was a listener who wanted to do his part for the community of Canary Cry Radio listeners. So I recommend everybody do that. Again, the instructions are go to canarycryradio.community, join the community, and then look for the thread. You can use the search terms Plex server, Canary Cry Radio Plex server, and there's a step-by-step and how to gain access to this very special, cool infrastructure, the Canary Cry infrastructure that was put together by listeners and producers of the show. So cool.
Very cool. Yep, and I've had the instructions up on the screen there. So on canarycry.community. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, there we go, everybody. What do you think? Gon's ready to wake up?
I was thinking, because we're going to be short on time, should we just thank the producers now? Because we might not have time to really go through that. And there's not a whole lot of people to thank.
Yeah, let's do that so we don't have to take another break. Okay, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we like to do, people. We are on the value for value model. That's what we do here. We do not rely on advertising dollars. We don't believe in gaining your trust and your attention and then turning around and selling it to advertisers. We don't believe in turning our listeners into products that we sell to companies. And if that sounds extreme, it's not. That's exactly what advertising is. And it's very difficult to find consistent quality content on the internet right now that is not sort of absorbed into the advertising model. And it is a struggle, but we made the commitment a long time ago that we didn't want to be part of that world economic system that, turns people into products and prioritizes corporations and puts us as the people doing it at risk of, the temptation of tailoring our message and our content and our language to corporate interests, because that's exactly what happens. I mean, if you are reliant on corporations to pay you advertising dollars, there's a big temptation to adjust your content so you don't lose those advertising dollars. That's not how we work, though. The way we work here is we put out the content, we do it consistently, and we like to think we do a good job at it. And then it's your job, it's your opportunity, rather, to put value back into the system. We literally could not keep doing this show if it weren't for our producers, and that's what you are. You're not donors, you're not just listeners, you're not just generous people, although you are. But just like the real world, if you give money to a program to produce content, you are a producer of the show. So we want to thank some producers today, Gons. And first of all, we're going to start over on patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. That's patreon.com/CCNT. And we have two, I believe, new producers this week. Let me just reload the page, make sure nobody else came in during the show. And Gongs, you got your gongsers?
Did you just call me Gong?
Gong, yeah. What are you going to do?
It's ready.
Okay. I want to thank first our new producer, Paul. Thank you, Paul. You're the man, Paul. And our second producer for Canary Cry News Talk is TK. TK coming in yesterday, TK. Thank you very much. And we also have patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio, patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. And we have a new producer named Jordan. Thank you very much, Jordan. You guys are the best. Actually, I think we might have missed one. Oh, nope, that's a deletion. Whoops, never mind. So there you go. Thank you very much. Those are the Patreon accounts that you can become a producer at, patreon.com/CCNT and patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. And thank you, Paul, TK, and Jordan. But if you don't like Patreon, we get it. A lot of people don't like Patreon. Totally cool. That's why we have canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. If you don't like Patreon, you can head to canarycryradio.com/support. We've got PayPal options for monthly support, or if commitment's not your thing, you can make a one-time donation as well. One-time support, as well as some cryptocurrency options. Gons, who do we got over there on the PayPal?
The PayPal, we have, I don't remember if we mentioned him in the last one, the new recurring producer, Leak. Did we mention Leak?
I don't remember, but if we did, then he gets they get 2.
Yes, and then we also have a new producer, Juan. Thank you very much, Juan. And he mentioned, God bless you guys, don't let them take your joy.
Yay.
We will not let them take our joy. So those are the 2 new producers of Canary Cry Radio through PayPal.
Thank you very much. So there you go, folks. Those are the new producers that have joined the team here at Canary Cry Radio. If you also want to join the team of producers, you can head to patreon.com/CCNT or canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. Let's see. Nope, my oxygen level is still at 96, and I have no mask on. I just am not good at oxygen when I'm doing the show, apparently. Okay, let's jump right into it, Gons.
Good at
Let's
oxygen.
get this first one. I want to read you this story from the BBC.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Before you jump in, that tweet by Elon Musk is deleted. It's gone. Which means he got to it. But the Bitcoin address now has 12.85 Bitcoin, which is $118,000.
There you go. Not
Come
a bad
on, people.
Not a bad day's work.
Jeez, that makes me angry.
Yeah.
A lot of money to scam, even if it is it looks like, what is it? 6.65 Bitcoin have sent out from this address. And I think they're trying to split it up into a whole bunch of different addresses to make it harder to track that Bitcoin. But that's how they do it.
Very high profile scam.
It is.
So I
was going to say that's
I'm sure there are some blockchain forensics teams out there as we speak trying to track down this individual.
Yeah. Chain analysis being one of the big ones. But okay, yes, we have an update that is eugenics related.
We should invite fewer people to be born.
And it's working.
There you go. There's BBC.com. The article is titled "Fertility Rate Jaw-Dropping Global Crash in Children Being Born." Very interesting. The article reads, "The world is ill-prepared for the global crash in children being born, which is set to have a jaw-dropping impact on societies, say researchers. Falling fertility rates mean nearly every country could have shrinking populations by the end of the century, maybe also shrieking. And 23 nations, including Spain and Japan, are expected to see their populations halve by 2100. Halve the population.
My peoples are going away.
I know.
I'm becoming a rare breed.
Countries will also age dramatically with as many people turning 80 as there are being born. What's going on? The fertility rate, the average number of children a woman gives birth to, is falling. That was actually important for me because when I see fertility rate, I think of like a biological issue. Like the fluoride or something is affecting fertility rates. But fertility rate in the context of this article means the average number of children a woman gives birth to, which is falling. If the number falls below approximately 2.1, then the size of the population starts to fall. In 1950, women were having an average of 4.7 children in their lifetime. Researchers at the University of Washington's Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation showed the global fertility rate nearly halved to 2.4 in 2017. And their study, published in The Lancet, projects it will fall below 1.7 by 2100. As a result, the researchers expect the number of people on the planet to peak at 9.7 billion around 2064 before falling down to 8.8 billion by the end of the century. Quote, that's a pretty big thing. Yeah, so losing, what is
almost
that?
a billion.
A billion people over 36 years. That's a pretty big thing. Most of the world's transitioning into natural population decline. Researcher Professor Christopher Murray told the BBC, quote, I think it's incredibly hard to think this through and recognize how big a thing this is. It's extraordinary. We'll have to reorganize societies. Why are fertility rate? Yes, we must reorganize societies. Instead of it, why are fertility rates falling? It has nothing to do with sperm counts or the usual things that come to mind when discussing fertility. Instead, it is being driven by more women in education and work, as well as greater access to contraception, leading to women choosing to have fewer children. In many ways, falling fertility rates are a success story. Quote, which countries will be most affected? Japan's population is this is you, Gons. Japan's population is projected to fall from a peak of 128 million in 2017 to less than 53 million by the end of the century. That's crazy. That's losing almost 75%.
Yeah.
In 36 years. Wow. Well, no, I guess they're taking that from 2017. So Italy is expected to see an equally dramatic population crash from 61 million to 28 million over the same time frame. Italy's population is going to halve, mainly because of children not being born. Which countries will be most affected? Oh, I just read that. They are 2 of 23 countries, which also include Spain, Portugal, Thailand, and South Korea, expected to see their population more than halve. That is jaw-dropping, Professor Christopher Murray told me. China, currently the most populous nation in the world, is expected to peak at 1.4 billion in 4 years' time before nearly halving to 732 million by 2100. India will take its place. The UK is predicted to peak at 75 million in 2063 and fall to 71 million by 2100. Then they have this graph here, Gons, if you want to make sure to show that to the people. And the graph is titled How Populations of Selected Countries Might Change. And it shows China will have by 2100. India will lose about a quarter. Nigeria will actually increase exponentially.
Triple.
Yeah. And then the USA actually looks like it's going to be about the same, actually a tiny bit of an increase in population by the end of the century. And then the article continues, however, this will be a truly global issue with 183 out of 195 countries having a fertility rate below the replacement level. USA not being one of those. Interesting. So in the context of what they're talking about, how there will need to be a restructuring of society to, help this population decline. Apparently, the society in the U.S. doesn't need to be restructured because our population is actually going to grow a little bit. Why is this a problem? You might think this is great for the environment. I love the assumptions of the worldview of the reader here at bbc.com. You might think that less humans is great for the environment. A smaller population would reduce carbon emissions as well as deforestation for farmland. Quote, that will be true except for the inverted age structure, more old people than young people, and all the uniformly negative consequences of an inverted age structure, says Professor Murray. The number of under fives, people under 5-year-old, will fall from 681 million in 2017 to 401 million in 2100. That's about a third decrease, 33%.
Oh, look at this. The next number is crazy. Sorry.
The number of over 80-year-olds will soar from 141 million in 2017 to 866 million in 2100. Wow.
That's like a 7x.
I think it's like a 4 or 5x, 4x, 5x.
That little?
Something like that. Professor Murray adds, quote, it will create enormous social change. It makes me worried because I have an 8-year-old daughter and I wonder what the world will be like. Who pays taxes in a massively aged world? Who pays for healthcare for the elderly? Who looks after the elderly? Will people still be able to retire from work? We need a soft landing. No, people won't be able to retire from work. They'll have to work from their homes in VR goggles, controlling an avatar in a factory somewhere. Called it. Are there any solutions? You know what? They go into the solutions. It's kind of the least interesting part of the article, and for time's sake, I'm going to skip it. Basically, just creating government incentives to have more children is the idea. But then it says, what about Africa? The population of Sub-Saharan Africa is expected to treble in size to more than 3 billion people by 2100. Now, this is weird. It does say treble, like a treble clef, the musical notation. But I actually had to look it up. Apparently, treble, it does mean triple. Like one of the definitions of treble is to triple. Why didn't he just say triple? Or they, whoever wrote this? I don't know. Just some BBC shenanigans. And the study says Nigeria will become the world's second biggest country with a population of 791 million. That's crazy. Professor Murray, what are you telling me?
The Wakanda propaganda. I'm telling you, they've been trying to do this forever.
That is straight up some Afrofuturism right there.
Yeah.
While the world's population declines, Nigeria will grow to an incredible size compared to its current size. Professor Murray says, quote, we'll have many more people of African descent in many more countries as we go through this. Quote, global recognition of the challenges around racism are going to be all the more critical if there are large numbers of people of African descent in many countries. Then it explains a little bit why we need to get that number up to 2.1 fertility rate. Basically, if you have 2 parents, you need to make 2 children to replace them, and then you need that 0.1 to facilitate growth. So I'm going to skip that. Then it says, what do the experts say? Professor
I
Ibrahim...
think you should read this quote here, yeah.
Yeah, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar, University College London, said, quote, if these predictions are even half accurate, migration will become a necessity for all nations and not an option. To be successful, we need a fundamental rethink of global politics. The distribution of working age populations will be crucial to whether humanity prospers or withers, which was very interesting. Which is a little bit of an uncomfortable thing to consider, especially revolving around, slavery and the history of, putting African people to work. If Africa specifically Nigeria in the context of this article is going to have a population boom of epic proportions, what they're saying is we need to export them from Nigeria to work in other countries because the other countries' population can't support themselves, which is, you got to be careful with talk like that. That's what got America in trouble in the first place.
Yeah, and rethinking global politics is very much
a new world order can emerge.
And in the context of the race thing you're talking about, yeah, it's almost like repeating it, but this time the enslavement will be not forced.
Hopefully not enslavement, but the migration. It will require migration out of Africa to fill the population centers around the world. So yeah, I don't know. Very, very interesting. And yeah, especially for those who've been listening to episodes and heard the episode where I broke down Afrofuturism. This is actually a very compelling set of data to sort of prop up the Afrofuturism idea that is becoming a more popular set of ideas where, people of African descent are going to be the major players in the future of humanity, which, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, and it makes sense why the UN is basically usurping the West. This is like in their terminology, they're going to go around the Western development, especially the United States, because of nationalism and all this stuff. And they're going right back into Africa and saying that they're going to rebuild all the infrastructure there. There's a lot of crypto projects that are over there right now, and they know that there's going to be a population boom. And they're getting ready for all of that technologically.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see a pretty crazy, technocracy out of Africa in this century.
Yeah. Well, and that's, of course, we know China has at least 1 million CCP members living over in Africa. Unfortunately, they seem to be using it as a wealth extraction exercise, but they do realize, Africa, long regarded as the center of civilization for a long time. In regards to population, in this article, in this set of data, shows that Africa will be the only poised continent to survive the population issue from 2100. So, yeah, very interesting look into the future of what, the global society will look like. And could be problematic on how other continents handle that piece of information and the sort of things that happen. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, Gons, when we're 120 years old.
Yeah, I'll be closer to 130, but I've been busy over here.
Old man. Yeah. Well, you're doing your part, Gons. You are.
I know. I always said having kids is the one way you can actively fight against the NWO.
Yes, you have officially surpassed the numbers that are causing the decline in population.
Yeah.
Yay. So, good for you. I have yet to do my part.
Yes, you should.
If there's going to be a decline in cat population, I'm helping out with that.
Oh, gosh. That's weird. Yeah. Weird. Okay. We got a few things Soros related.
The race wars.
Race war.
I've warned you and warned you and warned you.
And some of this is adjacent to the conversations about the black militia that we talked about in the last episode, but I'll quickly run through a couple of these and we can get to that part of the conversation. This is WashingtonTimes.com. George Soros' foundation says it's time to double down, pours $220 million into racial justice efforts. George Soros' Open Society Foundations announced Monday it was investing $200 million in black-led racial justice groups and leaders, saying it's time to double down while racial justice is at the forefront of the conversation. It goes through some of the, it says here $150 million will be allocated through a set of 5-year grants to black-led justice organizations, and $70 million will go towards local grants supporting police reform and criminal justice efforts, as well as, quote, nurturing the civic engagement of young people and fighting, quote, voter suppression and disinformation. And it's pretty straightforward here. George Soros pushing in a whole bunch of money. And, I even noticed on YouTube.
Doubling down.
doubling down on YouTube. On the creator page is like, hey, we're going to really push the black creators on YouTube, and we're going to really, use this $100 million towards that whole, the whole system there. And again, it's probably why a channel like mine got demonetized. And also just a quick side update. I
think there's a lot of reasons why.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why. That's one of them. And that 264,000 sub count, it lasted for about 2 or 3 hours, and it was already below that number.
Oh, yeah. You finally broke your 264, and then it.
Yeah, and then they just pulled it right back there.
Fell again, yeah.
But it's going to be interesting as time goes on, because we may not be able to see what exactly these guys, these big billionaire types, are doing with their money and their investments, because according to the Bloomberg here, this is through MSN.com because of the paywall. I really appreciate MSM republishing some of these articles.
I know, they're saving us.
I know. Tepper, Einhorn, Soros stock holdings would go dark in SEC plan. John Paulson, Stanley Druckenmiller, and George Soros are among billionaire investors who would no longer have to reveal which stocks they own under a U.S. plan to ease disclosure rules. Hardly the smaller fund managers that regulators say the overhaul is supposed to benefit. I'll read one more paragraph here. While the legendary traders all oversee billions of dollars, the value of each of their firms' equity holdings traded on U.S. exchanges is less than the 3.5 billion threshold that would trigger public reporting in the Securities and Exchange Commission's proposal. They are far from alone, as other Wall Street icons below that level include Louis Bacon, David Tepper, David Einhorn, and Paul Tudor Jones. Paul Tudor Jones, who actually recently endorsed Bitcoin, by the way, to put in 1% of their portfolio into Bitcoin. It's paper Bitcoin. It's not the real Bitcoin, but, progress, I guess, in that direction. But yeah, now we're not going to be able to see what they're investing in.
Yeah.
What is this shenanigans?
Yeah, to put that in
progress before it is too late.
To put that into regular people terms, right now, the biggest hedge funds and investing institutions are required to report their big financial moves, their trades, right, especially with other people's money. But this bill apparently wants to make it so they can operate in the dark, which is just another step into the horrifying corporate-led dystopian future that has got us where we've already gotten. They claim they want it. Now, one thing to mention, let me pull up that article because... hold on a second. Sorry. Because there was a graph on there that really shows where this cutoff is. The cutoff is at 3.5 billion, which really only affects one of the biggest firms, and that's Bridgewater Associates. It's a bill that will allow pretty much every single hedge management firm or capital management firm, investing firm, the big boys. It only allows one of them to, or forces one of them to report. All the other ones are either within striking distance or already under that amount. So basically, the entire industry can go entirely dark. Which includes
pretty convenient
Soros
number
fund
there.
Management.
Yeah, pretty convenient number to have that cutoff point at.
Yeah, it really, it literally only affects or only lets one.
Or affects one.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, it only.
Management.
No.
Yeah.
It allows all but one to hide their financial transactions. So
right.
There you go. Which I don't know. I don't know if there's much more to say about that. Maybe I'll take for granted how much of a problem that is. But yeah, if you suddenly basically all the most evil actors in the investing world will get to do it secretly instead of doing their normal reporting that I think they have to do 4 times a year. I think every quarter they have to report
every quarter. Yeah.
So there you go. All right. Ready to move on?
Yes.
Yeah, looking at the time, we're going to have to save some stories for next time, but I think this one's important. We talked a little bit about the black militias being set up last episode, one of them being an actual official arm of the Black Lives Matter movement, their militarized arm that they want to sort of revive sort of Black Panther tactics, if not the Black Panthers as an organization. They want to learn from the Black Panthers. And they held a meeting at Nick Cannon's recording studio, Nick Cannon being a celebrity. The article will talk more about it. And they had a meeting where they met with some military advisors on how to best equip and train people to, have a military-like presence in their communities. The words that were used were war on police and things like that. Going deeper into it, they want to protect people from police. And Nick Cannon was a big part of that. Now, here's a story on Nick Cannon. Again, MSN.com. Thank you for mirroring it from CBS News. The article is titled "Nick Cannon Dropped by Viacom CBS Over Anti-Semitic Comments." Okay. Viacom CBS condemns bigotry of any kind, this is a quote, "and we categorically denounce all forms of anti-Semitism," the company said in a statement Tuesday. It is terminating its relationship with Cannon, Viacom CBS said. The company's move was in response to remarks made by Cannon on a podcast in which he and Professor Griffin, the former Public Enemy member, Public Enemy being an old rap group there, discussed racial bias. The podcast reportedly was filmed last year and aired 2 weeks ago. Quote, "We have spoken with Nick Cannon about an episode of his podcast, Cannon's Class, on YouTube, which promoted hateful speech and spread anti-Semitic conspiracy theories," Viacom CBS said. Quote, "While we support ongoing education and dialogue in the fight against bigotry, we are deeply troubled that Nick has failed to acknowledge or apologize for perpetuating anti-Semitism, and we are terminating our relationship with him," the company said, adding that "we are committed to doing better in our response to incidents," blah, 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 blah. This is just corporate speak trying to cover their butts there. Let me get down to the stuff that he actually said. More apologies. You know what? I'm actually going to switch over to this other article. This was from the Daily Caller, so it is a right-leaning article. But compared to the CBS article, which had maybe 2 quotes from the stuff he said, the Daily Caller did a better job of pulling more quotes. Let me see if I can catch up here. Here we go. Quote, "In order for me to be anti-Semitic, I'd have to be anti-Black man, anti-Black woman, anti-Black people, anti-Africa, anti-all other people," Griff said. "Because the Semitic people are Black people," Cannon added. Cannon and Griff spoke positively of Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan, a notorious anti-Semite, throughout the interview, which has garnered more than 250,000 views on YouTube alone. Quote, "When you have a person who has the lack of pigment, the lack of melanin, that they know they will be annihilated." So melanin being the chemical in the skin of African descendants. They just have more of it, which is what turns the skin a darker color. When you have a person who has the lack of pigment, the lack of melanin, that they know they will be annihilated. Therefore, they know that however they got the power, they have a lack of compassion. Melanin comes with compassion, Cannon said. Melanin comes with soul. That we call it soul. We soul brothers and sisters. That's the melanin that connects us. So the people that don't have it are, and I'm going to say this carefully, not carefully enough, Nick, are little less, and where the term actually comes from, and I'm going to bring it back around to Minister Farrakhan, where they may not have the compassion, he added. When they were sent to the mountains of Caucasus, which is where Caucasian comes from, they didn't have the power of the sun. The sun started to deteriorate them, so they're acting out of fear. They're acting out of low self-esteem. They're acting out of deficiency. So therefore, therefore the only way they can act is evil, Cannon continued. Scholars have long debunked the pseudoscientific claim that skin melanin levels are linked to intellectual abilities. Quote, they have to rob, steal, rape, kill, fight in order to survive. Talking about non-black people. So these people who didn't have what we have, and when I say we, I speak of the melanated people, they had to be savages. They had to be barbaric because they're in these Nordic mountains. They're in these rough torrential environments. So they're acting as animals. So they're the ones closer to animals. They're the ones that are actually the true savages, Cannon said in the video. Quote, so I say all that to say that the context when I speak of Jewish people, white people, Europeans, the Illuminati, they were doing that as survival tactics to stay on this planet, Cannon added. The anti-Semitic rant was first highlighted by a Jewish blogger on Sunday. Cannon previously hosted Nation of Islam Representative Minister Tony Muhammad on his podcast, where Muhammad called for a separate black state. Quote, we want Caucasians and this government to give us a separate state or territory like you did Israel, Muhammad said. Cannon's personal website lists his, and then it goes into his publicist agency, apparently mislabeled Karen. On his website. What?
Executive of that public relations company is Karen.
Okay. So there you go. Saying a lot of pretty inflammatory stuff, specifically in reaction to Jewish people. Of course, there's the Black Israelite movement, which holds that black people are the Israelites referred to in the Bible.
Yeah, the real Israelites.
And a lot of language there that's not necessarily in the interest of equality and the oneness of humanity. Some pretty intense stuff there. What do you think?
Careful with the language, Basil. Oneness of humanity? What are you talking about, man? Some kind of hive mind?
We I know what you're
Borg.
Saying. Borg is all.
Obviously, yeah, we know. I know what you're saying. I know there's some people out there that probably will misinterpret that, but I think this is the danger of any type of philosophy, worldview that tries to create some kind of moral supremacy based on the shade of your skin. And I mean, the kind of stuff that he's talking about with the violence of the white man or the people with less melanin. I mean, violence is something that everybody is prone to, and it has nothing to do with the color of your skin. So
by the way, yes, you're right. I did trigger people in the chat.
I told you would.
The human race, the equality of every man.
I've heard people say that even the word human has some kind of like, I can't remember what it was, use the word mankind, not human.
Right. Well, that's why you have to spell human HUMXN.
Right. Well, what's funny is there's all these the whole cancel culture thing. There is like a cancel culture type of thing with a lot of the fringy conspiracy types too. Like if you say something a certain way or not say something the right way, it's like, oh yeah, you're part of the problem with the shilling and all this stuff. It's like you can't win. Right. There's no way you can win. But the concern, I guess, here, the one thing I wanted to mention is that, and you kind of alluded to it before, but the part of this that's troubling is this type of philosophy is what is behind the black militia stuff.
Right.
That, they want their own separate country, which is a tactic. The divide and conquer tactic is so apparent with this that if you really understood the whole Hegelian dialectic, and all that kind of stuff, you're playing, Nick Cannon here is playing right into it the same way that the Jewish descent people did over 100 years ago with the Zionist movement. It's the exact same thing, but now that I guess the African American descent are being perpetuating, or at least perpetuating the same type of philosophy to create that sort of division and to have some kind of Islamic state, whatever their peddling there with that one Islamic sympathetic guy that what is it?
Yeah,
Tony
they named
Muhammad.
a few in there. Yeah. I mean, the issue that we're running into is Nick Cannon obviously connected with a militarized arm of Black Lives Matter, and then to connect the anti-Semitic and just generally anti-Caucasian rhetoric of this podcast, and not just anybody, but trying to make a case that the lack of melanin in skin implies lower compassion, lower intellect, closer to animals, things like that is when that gets mixed up in militia type organizations, that's a big problem.
Yeah. And there is an element of, and this is the part of the deception here. The layers of deception is really crazy, because some people will say that Nick Cannon, he's taken the red pill or whatever pill,
sure.
Beige pill. What pill was it that you took? Apparently the base pill.
Base.
And he's woken up and he's seeing the Zionist controllers and calling them out and all this kind of stuff. You can call out Zionism without blaming the shade of your skin as the culprit.
Yeah. It is an interesting concoction of anti-Zionism, anti-Semiticism, racism, all sorts of isms are sort of mixed up in there.
Yeah. So it is kind of troubling. Yeah. I think the alarm is probably going to go off here in a moment, but I think we can go through one more story related to this, and then we'll call it an episode. We couldn't get to some of the other things about Elon Musk's Technocalypse update, a few other things, but this is related, so I'll just end it here. And this has to do with the same race war stuff, but the money aspect.
Oh.
$100 billion is nothing. There goes
the alarm's going off. There we go.
All right.
Okay.
All right. We're going to land the plane here. WashingtonExaminer.com. Mayors back reparations that could cost $6.2 quadrillion or $151 million per descendant.
Mm-hmm.
The nation's mayors on Monday backed a national call for reparations to 41 million black people, a program that could cost taxpayers $6.2 quadrillion. A quadrillion is that would be a 6 and then 15 zeros behind it. So just as a reference point there. The U.S. Conference of Mayors released a letter backing a Democratic plan to form Reparations Commission to come up with a payment for slavery. Quote, "We recognize and support your legislation as a concrete first step in our larger reckoning as a nation, and a next step to guide the actions of both federal and local leaders who have promised to do better by our black residents," said the letter from conference President Greg Fisher, mayor of Louisville. Senator Cory Booker and Representative Sheila Jackson Lee have introduced legislation to create a commission, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals for African Americans Act. In introducing her bill to the House last year, Jackson Lee said, quote, "The commission aims to study the impact of slavery and continuing discrimination against African Americans resulting directly and indirectly from slavery to segregation to the desegregation process and the present day. The commission would also make recommendations concerning any form of apology and compensation to begin the long-delayed process of atonement for slavery. And since then, reparations have continued to draw attention, and the issue was elevated further during the recent Black Lives Matter protest. So step aside, George Soros, and your $220 million. They're asking for 6.2 quadrillion.
Yeah.
And at this point, money printer go brr. Just do it. I say do it. I say hyperinflate the dollar to oblivion, because it doesn't matter, because we're in a modern monetary theory, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
A dollar's worth a dollar because we say it's worth a dollar.
I'm trying to look. Let's see here. So what was the number? 6 quadrillion?
6.2 quadrillion. Yeah, it's 15 zeros behind the number.
I believe that is more money than exists in the world right now.
No. When you think about derivatives, it's not, because the derivatives have anywhere from. I know derivatives aren't like true money. Hold on, I do have a chart that I've used often to talk about this issue of how much money there is in the world.
But the chart's not going to be helpful in this case. I literally was just on it. I know the one you're talking about, the one that they made in reference to Bitcoin and where it lays in the mountain of money in the world. Let's see. Derivatives hold large amounts of funds invested in them, with the money exceeding 544 trillion. So I'm pretty sure that's close to more money than exists in the world. 6 quadrillion. So, this is very interesting. And I'm not saying that number's wrong. Their methodology was interesting. They just took the amount of labor by all the slaves in America over the 300 or 400 years. Of course, that'll add up, and then added some interest on that, and so that's how they got the number. So of course, the 6 quadrillion number is irrational. It just doesn't exist. But what this is it's an opening bid. Is what this is. If you're starting negotiations, this is just a little tip. You start out your opening bid with a ridiculous
6 quadrillion.
Yes,
we'll take 300 trillion. That's
is
good
more
enough
money
for us.
than exists, and then maybe you can get a more reasonable number and get something close to what you're looking for.
I'm sorry. You're right. It is more money because the derivatives say here the notional value, the low estimate being 558 trillion and upwards of 1 quadrillion. So
yes. I think there's about $1 quadrillion, a little over $1 quadrillion on Earth. So paying 6 quadrillion is a bold openings bid to reparations.
Well, Trump said it.
We will launch a new age.
So what's 6 quadrillion? Nothing.
I found the official number is 1.2 quadrillion on the high end.
Right.
So okay, there you go. So just make sure to pay your taxes, people. Oh, today is tax day, by the way.
It is tax day. It is tax day. Good day to scam some people out of Bitcoin.
Yeah,
and also
somebody had some taxes to pay, so they had to.
Maybe that's what it is.
That's probably.
He brought out the big guns to scrape some money together to pay taxes, and also a day when it was reported. This will be the last one. NBCNews.com. Pandemic leads to national coin shortage. Federal Reserve task force created to help. We're lacking
I thought
coins.
That was interesting. Everybody's seeing these signs up, coin shortage, which seemed ridiculous. But the article specifically that we pulled up wants to make sure we know it is not a conspiracy theory to go cashless. They're just saying, A, nobody's spending coins. B, they shut down the mints, the coin minting facilities at the Federal Reserve because of COVID. And so there's no coins, no cash, baby. It's all going cashless.
Yeah. And technically,
my thing is, the coins exist. People just aren't using them. There's not a shortage for people who already own them. It's just stores can't get them from the bank. They can't get new coins. So there you go.
Have you paid for anything with coins recently?
I haven't paid anything with coins. Besides like a gashapon machine or something, or an arcade game. Have not spent coins maybe in 15 years.
Wow. So you are part of the New World Order.
I'm part of the problem. No, I'm saving my coins, man. I knew there was a shortage coming. I was trying to hold on to them for 15 years.
But there's really no inherent value in them. It's not anymore. There's no gold or silver in them unless you value
conspiracy
copper.
theorist. All right, let's end the show here.
All right.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Remember, we will be back on Friday, sometime between noon and 5 p.m. PST. So put that on your calendar and remember us for Friday because we will be thanking more producers. Remember, we're value for value. We don't believe in packaging you, our dear listener, up as a product and selling it to a corporation for our own personal gain. And so we need your help. We need your help to stand against that sort of worldwide economic system where you, the listener, are the product. We don't think that's the right way to go, but we can only keep doing that if people value what we do, value consistency, quality, and content, and want to help keep it going. So if you would like to become a producer of Canary Cry News Talk, you should definitely do it. Now's the time if you're thinking about it. You can do it for as little as $1 by going over to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. There's a bunch of fun stuff over there. We haven't talked about it recently, but there's you can get access to a bunch of bonus episodes and all sorts of fun stuff over there on Patreon. So please do that. Patreon.com/CCNT. And remember, if you don't like Patreon, people don't like it, that's okay. You can head to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support is a great place to become a producer of the show. We got PayPal options over there, monthly recurring, or if commitment's not your thing, we got one-time offerings there, as well as cryptocurrency. So, maybe whoever hacked Elon Musk there can send some of that Bitcoin our way. If you're listening, just if you happen to be listening.
I don't want no dirty Bitcoin.
Oh, that's true.
Keep that dirty Bitcoin away from our
make
wallet.
Sure to properly clean it.
Wash that Bitcoin.
Okay, there you go. Thank you, everybody. Now, there's other ways to become a producer. One of those ways is to create jingles, create art, create songs. If you're a creative person, you can go ahead and help us out that way. We didn't show any new art or anything. I don't think anything came in, but if you're a creative person, send whatever you're working on to canarycryradio.com. No, that's wrong. canarycryradio@gmail.com is the email to send jingles and artwork. Make sure it's show related. We appreciate all the cool art people are doing, but make it show related. We'll show it on the show. That'll be fun. And remember, sometimes people will just send us clips of songs just with nothing else. No, nothing else. Just
no editing, no reference.
Yeah, they just take a clip of a song and send it to us. That's appreciated, but we can't use it because we'll get knocked for copyright issues. So if you find a song that you think would make a good jingle, try to spice it up a little bit, mix it up, do some stuff to it so we don't get knocked. But that's a great way to help produce the show. Also, you can help by leaving ratings and reviews on your iTunes or your Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this. That's super helpful. But most of all, you got friends, you got family, people you love that are starting to wake up. And a great way to help them along that journey is to send them an episode of Canary Cry News Talk. I suggest sending them a podcast version. It sounds much better, and they get to listen to it while they wash the dishes, not having to sit in front of their computer or something, watching a video. But that's a great way to get them hooked up with, I think we're pretty harmless as far as waking up sources go. Sometimes it can be kind of spooky sending a more intense, more serious, more wild piece of information to somebody. But I like to think, because we just go through the mainstream news and analyze it, find the discrepancies, and catalog it all in the way that the world is going, I think we're a pretty good way to do that. So send them an episode, tell people about the show. It's truly the best way to help spread the show and make it work. So we appreciate you that much. Now, if you want instructions in how to help people out, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
Oops. Sorry, messed up.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right, just ask Noah, everybody. Remember, slap some masks on those bunnies, those fish, those bees, and now make sure your hamsters are masked, because that's how you care for other people. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Make sure to tune in again on Friday, sometime between noon and 5 p.m. PST, for the next episode of Canary Cry News Talk. But until then, everybody, all together now, think outside the cage.
Cancel culture.
Look it up.
William Steele, jewel thief.
We will launch a new age.
Aliens.
Some bubble butt are gonna help me.
It's gotta be biblical.
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
People, I'll keep you safe and warm. In my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now. In my people's zoo. You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
It will kill.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo.
We should invite fewer people to be born.